Hey and welcome, I'm Hammeh and Doomfist hype thrusters engage once again. The Overwatch blog has just released a news article on Talon and Doomfist, so first things first, I'll summarise what it contains, then analyse it for some sweet story and lore, and then finally we'll have a speculate together about what Doomfist might bring and when he might be coming. Straight over to the blog and its contents. Well, I'll let you read it yourself, I'll put the link in the comments and description below, but this is from the Times of Numbani, presumably a publication, detailing Talon involvement in an attack on a Helix secure and confidential facility. Dated 3 months ago, the article says that Doomfist, named now as Akande Ogundimu, was broken out of the facility by Reaper. It was then confirmed that after these events, he attacked Numbani Airport, destroying the new OR-15 units, as we've seen in Arisa's backstory, and reclaiming the Doomfist for his own. The article ends by questioning Helix Securities' efficiency and role in the defence of the world in recent years, as it has a seemingly omnipresence over world security contracts, particularly with the United Nations, despite its seemingly not too good record in recent years. The blog tells us a few cool things about it, so rather than read through it, I will go through it and explain what it contains, as well as talking about the lore, discoveries, and potential questions that it raises. Let's get stuck in. So what do we learn lore-wise from this story? Well, the article says that 3 months ago, initial reports of an incident at Helix Securities International's classified maximum security installation can now be reported on in more detail as a more complete picture has emerged. The installation was said to be a prison for the world's most dangerous threats. Now, 3 months ago in the timeline very roughly matches up, I think, with the Arisa teasers, because we know from later on in this article that Doomfist goes from breaking out to going to Numbani, but more on that later. Remember, of course, the Overwatch timeline in universe does not match the real world timeline for us, on which these articles are released, so don't make too much of the 3 months, but it should match up with Arisa. Now, I'm interested in this Helix Security facility. It's a prison for the world's most dangerous threats, and it's been stated that because it's classified, we're not exactly sure where this is. It's not been stated where it is in the world. It may not be anywhere near Numbani or Africa. Now, Akande Ogundimu, it's said that Talon raided this facility with the express purpose of freeing him, and that he's better known as Doomfist. Now, this name is not familiar to us. He's not in the Numbani Museum as a named Doomfist. So the question remains, is he the successor or is he someone else? Either way, he's known as Doomfist to newsreaders, presumably he's referred to in this article as being Doomfist. So there have now been at least 3 Doomfists that we know of. I guess the Numbani Museum maybe wouldn't feature the likeness or an exhibit to a still alive living criminal in a maximum security jail, or would they? It'll be interesting to see when Doomfist releases, if anything changes in Numbani in the museum, whether we see the successor being changed to Akande Ogundimu. Is this the Doomfist that Winston beat, as One Punch Kid says in the original Overwatch opening cinematic? I guess we'll have to wait and see. As well as getting more details on Talon's involvement with freeing Doomfist, we get a little bit of information on Talon's attack and how they went about conducting this operation. It apparently began in the early hours of the morning when an unidentified aircraft approached the facility, and apparently the craft had no passengers on board, based on radar scans. Now, I take radar scans as being general terminology there for just scanning. I had an interesting thought. Now, Widowmaker, if she has a very slow heartbeat from the treatments that Talon subjected her to, would she show up on this kind of scan? And Reaper, he might not have a heartbeat period. Sombra, of course, would, unless she somehow hacked the scans, of course. Now, the craft passed through the range of the installation's defence systems without incident, leading some to believe that Talon has moles within Helix, which has some somewhat worrying implications in the story. Although, of course, this could be Sombra hacking as well. Video surveillance then revealed that the black, shadowy figure emerging from the craft and descending upon the prison grounds was Reaper, most probably. The unidentified assailant easily overcame the Helix security agents, leaving over a dozen dead. Medical records of the casualties reveal injuries and cellular degeneration, matching other incidents involving the mercenary known as the Reaper, all but confirming the incursion as a Talon attack. So this is Reaper presumably doing his thing, playing for keeps, 12 deaths in one raid. Injuries and cellular degeneration, that's keeping to the spirit of the wording that's used in Reaper's bio on the Overwatch website. The few bodies recovered of those he kills are pale, empty husks, drained of life, their cells showing signs of intense degradation. So Reaper does something to the bodies by his presence or by otherwise of those he kills. This degeneration, this degradation of their cells on a biological level, I wonder what it could be, and does it have any benefit to him if so? Helix officials have apparently been unwilling to reveal whether or not there were additional escapees or items taken, but sources have indicated that it is likely there were further security breaches in addition to Ogundimu. So, Talon are raiding what is the warehouse, what is the prison perhaps, for some of the world's most dangerous threats. That's kind of like going shopping with a blank credit card for someone like Talon as an organisation. If they can get in there, what would they steal, or who else would they break out? This place sounds as though it would certainly hold lots of dangerous people, perhaps dangerous objects, perhaps some that Talon could make use of. It does feel a little bit Arkham Asylum, Suicide Squad-esque to me, a film that would have been better if it was about half hour shorter, but I'm really interested to see what this could set up for future story. Maybe this is breaking out accomplices, maybe people who used to be in Blackwatch, maybe ex-Talon operatives and all kinds of people. This breakout could actually introduce lots of characters to us in the story later on. Now, after this, Ogundimu's whereabouts weren't found until he resurfaced in Numbani, reclaiming the Doomfist, according to the news article. So, of course, we know this section from the Orisa reveal a few months back. Even though it wasn't totally confirmed then, it very much looked like it. Now, very interestingly, the article ends by questioning Helix, saying that people have been worrying about their effectiveness and methodology. They've greatly increased their profile as the world's security force, quote unquote, in recent years, but after a number of high-profile incidents, including the breach of a similarly top-secret facility in Egypt, in spite of people objecting to the increased privatisation of security and defence following the shuttering of Overwatch, Helix has requested and for some reason been granted more funding by the UN to cope with the rising threats. So, a quick review of Helix Securities story and lore for you. Now, we know they're a global private security firm. They have not had the best record in the last year. Their security failed at Watchpoint Grand Mesa. Soldier 76 infiltrated that facility in the USA, stole back the prototype pulse rifle, roughed up some of the guards, and who knows what else he took there. After that, Helix again failed. Their security somehow failed at the Anubis AI facility, actually leading to loss of life, as the Anubis God AI broke free from the containment that Helix had it under, hacked bots in the area, and looked to escape from the facility into other networks where it could potentially launch militarised assaults, in an echo of some of the events of the first Omnic crisis. Farah was sent in with her squad. She currently works for Helix in Egypt, remember, to restore order to the facility in the events of her comic mission statement. Next up, Helix were under the spotlight again, but from a different angle. In Old Soldiers, we saw Reaper talking to a mercenary Hakim, saying that after the incident, which could have been the one Farah was dealing with timeline-wise, that the security was locked down and they'd need to find another way into Helix. Sombra was also mentioned as needing to find the best out of some data, presumably that Hakan obtained. After the release of Sombra, of course, whenever she lands on Anubis, she says she wants to find a way past Helix's firewalls. After all of this, Helix have not painted themselves in glory. This is the latest in a string of failures reported about them. They could well be a bigger part of the story as a result than we've previously thought. To summarise what we've learnt about Helix from this blog and the Overwatch universe in general, after Overwatch fell, there was an increased privatisation of security, a handing of security contracts over to private firms. Now, Helix have certainly got some of the contracts to protect ex-Overwatch facilities. Obviously, we knew they were protecting Watchpoint Grand Mesa, and apparently in recent years, Helix has greatly increased its profile, and presumably its business too. Now, despite all of these recent failures, how has Helix requested and been granted more funding by the UN when it's not been doing a good job? And why is the UN deciding to give more funding to them despite this slightly dodgy track record? In a post-Overwatch world with no Overwatch, companies as Helix would stand to gain from there being no global UN-backed peacekeeping force in the world. In previous Overwatch blogs, it has been mentioned that certain corporations have got very, very close to governments of sovereign countries and similar, so could there be some relationship between perhaps some corruption in the UN or something to do with Helix Security in the fall of Overwatch as well? One final thing from Old Soldiers, Reaper says that Helix will have a weakness, they don't know what they are protecting. Now, I thought initially that that might somehow have referred to the Anubis AI. However, we've seen that Helix have actually been protecting some of the world's most dangerous threats. As Talon have broken Doomfist out now, it really begs the question, what are Helix protecting that they don't know about, that Reaper and presumably Talon do? Because whatever it is, it sounds pretty dangerous or pretty important. Okay, there's the lore learnings. Let's have a little think about what's up next. Well, remember that Orisa was teased and launched on the PTR in March within about 10 days or so, just over a week. So if we follow the same pattern, maybe we could have another teaser on Friday or later this week, then we could even see Doomfist perhaps as early as next Tuesday or Thursday on the PTR. Now for Orisa it was the Thursday, but let's see what happens. Now, Gamescom is a big international gaming convention. It's coming up at the end of August. We saw Eichenwalder's announced last year, as well as the Last Bastion animated short. I was wondering if Blizzard would hold on to release and announce a hero there. As a result, if Doomfist is going to be out before the end of July perhaps even, then who knows what we could get at Gamescom. Maybe it's going to be another new map. And you know what? An animated short would be a great thing to drop at Gamescom as well. They did do it last year. So fingers crossed for lots of interesting stuff in the summer of Overwatch coming up in the next couple of months. So, can we pinch ourselves? Is Doomfist finally here? Are you, admittedly after a long time waiting, getting excited for Doomfist again? It's got to be for him, right? Do let me know in the comments along with what you think about the potential lore for Doomfist, Helix and more that this blog shares with us. What are Talon up to? If you've got any theories, do let me know. If you like this vid, do throw a like, sub and comment, it really helps me out, share it if you can, and do check out my Overwatch Lore Interaction and Voice Line series, where I cover everything about the heroes and world of Overwatch in the playlists below. There'll be a bunch more Overwatch skin and map lore as well as other videos later this week, and I'll be announcing a giveaway next week, so keep an eye out for that. Cheers for tuning in, I've been Hammeh, take it easy.